I'm Randy.
I'm Calvin.
And we are the original security guys.
Okay, so we got a video that we're doing here for National Cybersecurity Awareness Month on multi-factor authentication. So what is multi-factor authentication?
Multi-factor authentication is when you're using something you have, something you are, and something you know in conjunction to properly identify yourself, or in more technical terms, non-repudiation. And MFA, as it is any two of these three methods.
Okay, so there's three different authentication methods. It's something you have, something you are, and something you know. And for multi-factor authentication, you got to have any combination two out of the three.
Two of the three.
Okay, and username and password
are one.
Are just one, right?
Because the password authenticates the username.
All right, so this is what we're going to learn about today. If you like this content and you would like to see more like it, please subscribe and hit the notification button so you can be notified about our upcoming content and what we're doing. Also, we like to be as interactive as possible. So please comment below and talk about topics that you would like to see. Tell us how we're wrong, tell us how we're right. Join in on the conversation, we really appreciate it. Okay, so something that you know. What are other examples besides the username and password for something that you know?
PIN.
PIN number. You have, your credit cards only have just a PIN number. They don't really necessarily have multi-factor authentication originally, but now they have chips.
They do have chips, and the chips are functioning much like multi-factor using a token.
So, using the chip, and I don't know that anybody is asking for the PIN anymore. So the chip and a signature, how is that two-factor authentication?
So when you present the card and the chip is activated by an RFID reader, it has a sequence number that is incremented each time you use it, and the credit card company that you're using has that sequence number as well. So it is authenticating the card and that the sequence matches. If a hacker or someone uses that card out of sequence, the numbers don't match and there's an alert that there's a sequence issue. The signature is just validation that you have the card.
Right. Okay, so the card itself and the chip embedded in it, that's something you have, because you have to have that card in order to do a transaction if you're using that chip.
Yes.
The signature is something that you are, that's your signature, or it could be something you know.
I would lean towards something you know, because
something you know.
You would hopefully be able to recognize your own signature.
Yeah. So that's a form of two-factor authentication. I think most people are familiar with two-factor authentication because everybody's got a phone. And that is something that you have, and when you go to do something, it will prompt you, it'll send you a text or something of that nature, right? So the mobile phone, you get text messages, you get a code. Are there other things that you would have that would still suffice for multi-factor authentication? You could still use it for something that you have.
You're referring to a hard token.
Hard token, that would be something you have.
Which is just a small fob type device that has an LCD screen that randomly generates a number in a sequence that is also generated on the other side at the same rate, so the numbers match. And then you type in the number that's shown on that hard token, and when they match, it assumes that you're the individual that is authenticating, just because the difficulty level in hacking the sequence of numbers.
The other thing you can have is an application that will authenticate you as well on your phone.
Soft token.
So if you log on to your computer, again, it'll prompt you on that application to help you log in. But those are known as more enterprise type applications. For most users, when you're talking about at home, it's probably just going to be your phone.
Probably.
Yeah.
Just because of the cost.
So the other thing is something that you are. Most people are probably familiar with Something You Are because of Microsoft and Apple, which is they're implementing the facial recognition.
And fingerprints.
You got fingerprints. Those have been enabled for quite a while, right? Sometimes that's all you have to do because, again, remember, it's like, okay, well, that's just, if you take your phone and you show it on your face, that's just one. Not actually, because it's two. You have your phone, something you have. Your face is something that you are, right?
It is. And in this world of more and more security being required, vendors are going to start pushing it harder and harder for it.
Yeah. The technology, has had its flaws. We see the James Bond spy type movies where they take somebody's fingerprint and place some kind of glue on top of theirs and get in, or they cut somebody's head off and show their face, right? There's also the retina scans. You could do that. There's actually the entire palm, the entire handprint. So there's multiple ways of doing that.
And then off the palm print, there's also one where they shine a type of light that brings out the veins so that pattern is recognized.
So the technology is getting better and better. There's still flaws.
Yes, still flaws.
Multi-factor is still not perfect, but it's better than not having it.
Well, and think back 10, 15 years ago, how many times was the fingerprint reader fooled with a print of the fingerprint or a picture of the person's face?
Yeah.
So it's improving at a high rate.
Yeah, but of course then you also have the opposite effect too. It's like if you've been using your thumbprint and all of a sudden you got a cut on your finger, you may not be getting in because now it doesn't see it as the same. Or if you got allergies and your face swells up, it might not be happening. So there's flaws both ways. It can be a good thing that it's not letting you in because it doesn't recognize you, but then there's also, what about twins? There have been cases where the twins have the same face and they've been able to log in with that. But again, technology is improving, but there's still flaws.
It's technology is manufactured by humans, and we don't make perfect code.
All right, so of all the multi-factor authentications, we talked about different types. What are the types of technology that actually uses the different multi-factor authentication?
Well, are you referring to the types of technology that use it, or that it's received on?
That you can use it to enable your multi-factor authentication.
So, a lot of financial institutions use text-based messages. So when you attempt to authenticate, they send you a code to your phone, and then you type in that code. You've also got emails that are sent, not as popular as the text messaging, but still used by some. We discussed a soft token, or an app that's loaded on your phone. Google Authenticator, Microsoft has got an authenticator, Symantec has an authenticator. There's several out there that you can use and tie them in. A lot of times to use them, you'll scan a QR code to synchronize it when setting it up. And then we discussed earlier the hard tokens.
So what will you actually enable the multi-factor authentication on? Hardware, software, what is it? What do you do? What do you enable it on?
Your account, wherever you're authenticating. So your email account or your account to authenticate to, some work computers require multi-factor authentication to access them. Remote access, remote user access is frequently multi-factor authentication. Bank accounts, financial institutions.
So really it needs to be enabled on everything that can be enabled on. Because right now there's still some applications, there's still some technology that have not caught up with that requirement of multi-factor authentication, and they just require, just a username and password or something of that nature, which, is not necessarily good, but they've got a little bit of advancing to do to be able to enable it. So not everything can be, but it should.
With hackers and ransomware and other things where they are today, yeah, one should enable it everywhere that they can.
Yeah. And depending on the technology that is used, the type of multi-factor authentication that's used, whether it be a text message to your phone or an email or something like that, that still should suffice for different types of options, but it depends on the option that becomes available to you, because sometimes you'll be limited to use exactly what they require. So if it's just text messages, you're going to have a phone.
Yeah.
If you got email, that's great that you got an email, but if you don't have some way to read the email, such as your phone or something, then that could cause you problems.
And you want your email account that it's being sent to not be compromised.
Yeah, that's true. So you can't use email multi-factor authentication to log into your email. That's kind of counterintuitive.
Got to have access to it first.
Yeah, no doubt. So with that, we thank you for participating with us today. We will have more videos as it pertains to National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So thank you for having a conversation with us. Okie style. We are the original security guys.